to do the thing. Holy crap, I'm at 259. Yeah, that thumbnail could use some work. But it'll suffice. This is probably only going to be like half an hour. All right. Oh yeah, I guess we should probably have... Hey, Cow. How's it going, buddy? Wojtek, are you gonna keep hitting things? Get off of the keyboard. Trying to find some background music. Is the cat trying to write lore? You know what? Okay. Wojtek, hit the keys. Hit the keys, buddy. K. K. Oh, cigarettes after sex. You're a little young. Oh my god, there is so much dirt. What the fuck? Oh my god. Pah! How? That... What did you roll in mud? Sorry about that. I'm just throwing this on here. Yeah. Shout out to Lou Says. Oh. All right. Hey, Chris Claudio. So, let's give ourselves a little something. Oh, I can just straight up make it have a grid. Ugh. You know what? There. So we got our nice green area. Oh, that's Zoom. I'm dumb. So things are all right here. So let me explain to you what we're going to be doing here. We have several objectives. Objective 1. Objective 1. Yeah, that'll work. We are here, first and foremost, to be fun. We want to enjoy ourselves. We want this to be challenging. We want it to be engaging. Okay, I can't use this fucking brush. I'm sorry. Why is that so fucking blurry? Probably because I'm very zoomed in. Why is there a comment about a fellow countryman? Don't worry about it. Chris Claudio's cool. Terrace placement is a must. No. So, we want to have fun. which means engagement. We want it to be challenging, but not like, oh, here's a fucking cave troll at level 1. Go suck a dick. No, we are also going to need it to be, at the end of the day, rewarding. Secondary objective. Oops. Is to be immersive. So how do we do that? Well, we keep it consistent. We keep it concise. And we make it malleable. Now, when I say malleable, I mean that when the players do something in it, it has a fucking effect. Now, it seems obvious, but I'm not trying to make a sandbox here. If the players want to blast through a fucking wall and circumvent half the dungeon, they're free to try it. But I, as the DM, should hopefully have not given them the resources to do that. And if I have, I should have been expecting and prepared for this. So, what are the issues that can come across with trying to make it fun? Well, we could have an issue with balancing. You know, if you make it too hard, you're fucked. If you make it too easy, you're wasting everyone's time. We have to actually make it interesting to play through. Now, of course, this will be dependent on group. If your group only cares about combat, probably not going to like what I have. If your group wants a lot of role-playing, what we're doing today isn't really going to be like that. So, unfortunately, that might not be their cup of tea. But there will be opportunities. And then you have to know what sort of, what level of puzzle solving they're with. Because I do a little thing that we call the Legend of Zelda formula, and I'll get to that. Now, issues with making it immersive. Lore dumps. Nobody gives a shit about your world. Nobody. Unless you give them a reason to. How do you give them a reason to? You don't. They give themselves the reason. You have to provide the circumstances for that. Give them something that's worth attaching to. You have my permission to use the Cyberterrasque concept if players get out of line. No, you're thinking too big here. I'm thinking introductory level, not like level 1. Let's say a party of 3 at level 3 by 5th edition standards, because that's what most people seem to play these days, unfortunately. Now, another issue, and again, This immersive, it really depends on your party, because some people don't give a shit. Some people just want to roll dice and be told, hey, you killed the thing. Yay! I'm not one of those people. If I'm playing a role-playing game, I'm playing a fucking role. I need a reason for what I'm doing. I need a place to go, people to talk to, people to kill, whatever it is. I need a goal, and I need a reason for that goal. You can't just tell me, hey, campaign started. You're all together. Go kill this dude. Like, set it up as something. Put the effort in. I'm not saying everything needs to be part of a bigger story or anything. But I do need a reason. If I, as Peddles the Shark, come across a cave and I'm like, hey, I'm curious. Okay, that's a good start. But when I get in, I realize I'm getting beat up. And I'm like, hey, I could die here. What's a reason that I would, keep going here? What would drive me beyond just, I wonder what's over there? We need to have reason. And this goes back to being malleable. Because if you realize that shit's not working, you either have a wasted dungeon or you have an opportunity to adapt. Some people are like, hey, there are no mistakes, there's learning opportunities. I don't believe in that. I believe, hey, we fuck up. But I do believe we learn from that, so I guess it's all phrasing. In summary, we want to make a good game. Understood? So. How do we go about this good game? Well, let's start off with our concept. This is going to be something that I would say Peddles would be able to potentially go through, and he would be able to solve it. This is something that could potentially be canon. So, obviously, not obviously, we are going to go with what I like to call the Zelda formula. Now, what is the Zelda formula? That is where we establish a theme, we establish a preferred method or gimmick, we have the exploration phase, also known as the study phase. And then we have the final exam. Now, let's branch these out. Theme. What's the theme of this dungeon gonna be? God damn it. Please work. Fun with welding. That's right, motherfuckers. We're gonna have some stuff involving welding. No, you are not going to have to fight a subarc machine. No, you do not have to have a pre-existing knowledge of the subject, because we have the study period. The study period is very important, because if you don't have a pre-existing knowledge of whatever the theme and gimmick are, then this is your chance to experiment and to learn. So, I have thought up this concept before. So the gimmick, couple things we have to consider with the gimmick. Number one, does it make sense in the setting? The answer, I don't really care right now. We haven't really established a setting. This is going to be modular. You can put it into your campaign if you so choose. Our gimmick, we have to think, okay, is this going to be a one-off gimmick where they're like, okay, it's like a Titanfall 2 campaign level where you go in, you have a blast, and then you forget about that mechanic because we've moved on to something new? Or do we have it like a Zelda game, where you've got a new ability or a new strategy or a new resource, and now you can use it in the world past this point? Can we weld our armor to our other player characters to create an unholy abomination of flesh and metal? I'm getting to that. In fact, that's exactly what I'm on. You can say, hey, the things, like, what I'm thinking is we have welding bugs. Now, that's a bit of a pun, because we have these welding quote-unquote bugs, but I'm thinking there's these ant-like creatures, but their mandibles can create an arc. And that arc they use to fuse and cut metal. And then they make their nest out of that. Special rules for welding. What dice do I use? Probably metallic ones. So, with welding bugs, for example, I need to think, will this gimmick be usable outside of this dungeon? So, my idea is that there will be a handful of puzzles or situations that, and this is key, you do not necessarily have to know all about the gimmick. You should be able to potentially solve these with the tools you have and ignore the gimmick entirely if you're creative and resourceful enough. However, you will, by embracing the gimmick, you'll be rewarded. For example, there might be some passageways that they've noticed are kind of poorly blocked off, and then by cutting into them using either the welding bugs or a lot of blunt force or using a little teleport thing or some corrosion, whatever it is, if they can break through that, that's fair game. Or if they need to cross a gap, well, they could potentially weld a bunch of metal shit together to build a makeshift bridge to get across. Or they could cast Long Strider, Spider Climb, they could throw someone, they could get a really lucky jump, but they probably would die, use some rope, whatever. If they have a way of getting through the problem without using the gimmick, that is good. That means you have smart players. Now, will these welding bugs be able to be used just here or outside? Let's think of the repercussions. You give them the power to fuse metal. and to cut metal. Okay, well, do we have things that can already do that? Kind of. But you can MacGyver it or be rewarded for using the gimmick. Exactly. That is precisely it. If you have a way around it, you go, girl. But if you want to play by my rules, that's good too. So, if we give the players the ability to weld, we'd have to either significantly limit it to prevent them from making battle tanks, or we would have to... you have to either limit the power or limit the usage on that. Or you have to be prepared for the consequences of that. Because if you're cool with your players making fucking battle tanks, go for it. That's fun. That's cool. My job is not to tell you how to run your game. My job is to tell you how you can run your game. Actually, my job is a welding inspector, which is why I feel uniquely qualified to make this. So I am thinking that these welding bugs will have... I'm going to say while they are on the living creature, it is a near infinite supply. They can weld and cut all they want. But when you kill the creature, you can rip off its head and you can use that. But it's only got so much juice in it. Now, whether we have it so that the light dies from its eyes after a couple days, or it just, you know, only has so much chemical in it, whatever that is. So, I have decided that these will be a finite resource. Now, our way around that, if the players are like, fuck, if only we had a couple more of these welding bug heads to really solve this thing, I might just say, hey, you're being attacked again. Oopsie daisy. Pippin threw another skeleton down the well. So now we have the exploration. The study period. We learn what we can do with these, and we solve our problems using them. So these welding bugs, we're going to learn how to properly fight them. We're going to learn how to use what we get off of them, and what we've got here, and what we brought in. This is going to be, this is going to be centered around welding and metallurgy. Metallurgy. However you pronounce the word, that's how we're going to do it. Basically, when we go and we get in there, we need to think, what are we going to do with these? That sentence was completely unnecessary. I was buying time trying to think of what I was going to say next. So, what are some possible puzzles with our welding bugs? Well, our tools are that we can fuse metal using electric arc. And then we can cut metal using that too. Hello, Batman. So, what do you think we can do with that? Well, simple as that. The examples I gave before. We can build a bridge open a passageway. We can construct armor. Or maybe a disguise. We can also... What else can we do with this? And again, not everything in the dungeon is going to... Excuse me. It's not all going to revolve around this specifically, but I would like to have a couple things. Especially for the final exam. I like to design my dungeons from the end backwards. Not necessarily. I like to design them boss room first. So, we want to... Could... If we need to display that it is an electric arc, then we can have something that's shock-based. And now, final exam. Now, the final exam. We've been in this dungeon for a couple hours. We are tired. We've figured out how to utilize the things we found in here. So, we want to be tested on these principles that we have practiced. So we want to have a final encounter that we need to solve, hopefully using these principles. We want to be able to put things together or cut them apart, and that's literally fucking it. For example, the first dungeon I ever really designed using this sort of principle had let me just oops. So basically, this was on top of a big tower. The players would come out up some steps, and then they'd have this long walk. And this would be a 10-foot platform, or 10-foot wide, and then about 30 feet long on either one. The center part would be 20 feet wide, and there would be 4 enemies, archers, and then 1 big fucker. There would also be a giant spike back here. There would also be a lot of spikes down here. So you'd figure, huh, what should our guys do? I think it's pretty fucking obvious. Especially because back then I was like, oh, here's a tapestry showing this guy who's a fallen hero vanquishing someone by spearing them from behind non-sexually with a big spike of some sort. So then they're like, oh, okay, well, that's what we gotta do. So they'd line up, and there was a whole thing on following tradition. So if they copied their movements, this guy would follow his tradition, which was one-on-one, while the archers would go after each other. So whoever was in the middle had to basically hold off this big fucker, while the others would take out those, and then they would be able to go for him and hopefully push him off into these spikes or into this back one. Now, the way this played out was alright. I used it twice. One with one group and the other... Well, first time I used it, I really ham-fisted how I wanted it to be done. And, yeah. They, had everyone camp over here and focus fire on him. And that circumvented all of it, because, this staircase was only 5 feet. And this fucker tried to follow them down. He failed his save for, Thunderwave and just got pushed off and, you know, fell 100 feet to his death. The other time, they followed it completely, and, their archer died about right here. Not died, he went to 0. He did survive at the end. The sorcerer, after their barbarian started getting low on health, sorcerer ran up to try to help him. He got hit quite a bit because he violated the tradition, so then they all focus on the violator. Meanwhile, barbarian, who's got a 20 strength, is fist fighting this big thing. And, they end up taking a tumble into the spikes together, and because, hey, I don't like fucking killing players for being cool, I was like, okay, well, the big guy, he's more aerodynamic, so he falls further, you land on top of him. So, darn, you took 4 damage as opposed to the 25 that you would have otherwise taken. Darn. And now you just need to sort of hang out while the other guys take out them. Because that dumbass didn't own a bow. Long story short, they won. So, I'm figuring, if these things are based off of ants, or bees, or whatever, let's follow the classics. Let's give them a big ant queen. So, the players enter through here. And it's sort of a winding... No, I did that poorly. It's a winding cavern. I did that poorly again. And then it, like, opens up to this big fucking thing. Now, what we want to do, in this universe, people use thousands of bees to weld their stuff. Could be. Or it could just be, hey, this is the first time anyone's seen them. This shit just, like, we found one of them and then they burrowed up to the surface. We need you to go in and figure out what the fuck's going on. So you can either make this a common thing in your world, or you can just say, yeah, this is the first time this shit happened. That's why we need some adventurers to deal with it. Because I don't know how the fuck to do it. Now, I'm thinking we do a little something called the Custer. Because a big fucking rock is gonna get rolled down. Also known as the Sen's Fortress. So, first thing we want to do, establish an objective. As you enter this corridor, you notice something's different. You notice 2 sentry bugs near what looks to be a turn at the end. But past that, light and chittering. Much, much deeper than you've heard it so far. The smell of magnesium permeates through the air. You hope you won't get lung cancer in the next couple years. So, as the players go up, they can try to kill these things. They'll be intentionally lower health. But if they fuck up and they get away, uh-oh. Okay, so let's say the players get up to here, and they notice that there's... It's not really a full wall here, but it's, they can't... I suppose they could cut through it. But they can see through the grating this big, ugly-looking motherfucker. And it's the queen ant. Oh my god. And they can see it. And it's got... Oh, you know what? I don't even need those. We can have a shocker moment. So, they go through, kill those, and they stop here, they look through, they're like, oh my god, this is so ugly. And then one of them will most likely be noticed. If not, well, players survive their checks, they're fine. But I'm gonna say that one of these things has a chance of spotting them. If they do, well, this is all uphill. And up at the top, there's a buff boy with 3 big boulders. Now, normally I'd want to have one, like, go through beforehand. In fact, we could probably have it so that in the previous room, there's a bunch of boulders, like, stacked up. And it's kind of weird, because it doesn't seem like they serve a purpose. And it's just because they've rolled them down. I like that idea. So yeah, they get noticed here. So this fucker starts rolling these down, one at a time. And maybe they can see through this part, so they can actually see that thing coming. And they're like, oh shit, we have, you know, like 2 or 3 rounds to prepare. So we can either run, make a mad dash to get out of here and get out of the way, or we can start welding. Or cutting. So, what I think the players would do is most likely, they'd fucking run, and then as they come back, they'd hear another one, and they'd probably run back and think it's you know, another trap. But the key to this one, if you want to get up quickly, you could cut through this grating. And then you actually have this all as a safe zone because the rock will come and just go straight down. Or you go around it. I'm sure there's a way you can flatten up to the wall. Hey, Anochi. Go up, beat the shit out of this guy, and then you have a nice grand fight. Or the way that would probably result in the best outcome, you cut through this grating. So as the rock comes along the path, bounce, bounce. Oh, look at this. It's not gonna bounce. It's gonna fly right into the fucking ant. And if they're hasty and they break through this, okay, well, now it's just gonna come this way. Now, we wouldn't make these boulders do enough to kill it. At least, not outright. I loved the fire temple in Twilight Princess. Because this gentleman, Fyrus, he looks pretty fearsome, eh? Okay, that doesn't help. But the thing with Fyrus is he's got his glowing weak point. What you're supposed to do is follow him around. You shoot him in the head, he gets freaking out, covers his head, stumbles around, and you grab those chains and put on the iron boots. When I first did this fight, I didn't know that. But it just so happens, if you come in fully loaded, there are just enough arrow boxes, or arrow pots around the room, that you can kill him solely by shooting him in the forehead. I'm serious that I did not kill this man properly until I started doing randomizer runs. And I played this from fucking release. If I'm not mistaken, the Zant fight has you do that, but I can't remember. Anyways, yeah. So that's why I always want to make these fights winnable by regular means. So even if you don't fully know what you're doing, you can still do some damage. Now, what are some other things people could do? Well, weld some pikes together. You could probably poke that thing through the fucking wall. Now, pretty quickly, they're gonna realize what you're doing, and they're gonna try to patch up this wall. So if you're gonna do something, Soap, you better do it fast. And once they've got that patched up, that little special technique ain't gonna work too well. Get through fighting this thing, well, the butt's the weak spot, as always. I would say it will be accompanied by the same amount of ants as there are players. In this case, 3. 1 to do the spotting, 2 to hang out here. And then we have the 2 weak guards, the buff boy up here, who will come around to help fight afterwards. Like, if you break through here, he'll bum rush you. I'm going to say that the queen has armor on her that's welded. Now, how could we possibly solve that problem? Wow, it's almost as if we have the tool to take apart metal. So we use the tool that we found and studied with for this final exam. Now, you can circumvent that if you've been smart and you're like, hey, this looks weak. We can break through it. So that'll smash off some of the armor. That'll make it easy to hit. And you can circumvent needing to get up close and hold your little welding head onto the tacks that they make. Are you still with me on this? Or am I just speaking gibberish? Nah, I don't really care. So, let's get drawing. There. So we start off. The mouth of this cave. We have just a little serpentine thing. And then we have a sharp turn. And it's with this sharp turn that the players will be able to notice something happening ahead. Now, what's that something? They can notice enemies. For example, I'm thinking they find one right here, just in the beginning. Maybe it's wounded from going outside, maybe there's some on the surface, but it has an entrance guard. And then, as they get in here, they notice, hey, there are 2 more. And they seem to be sort of building something. They're only partway done. They're building a bridge. Interesting. So we're seeing, in case these things haven't used their powers in front of them, we have a prime opportunity to see them using it. One will be taking metal off the wall. It'll be cutting into it. And this den is made up of old steel. And the other one is tacking it in place, and then they're using it to get over. Now the players can either decide to let them finish or not. That's up to them. And from this point, we have the dreaded fork. So, let's think of logical design here. And by logical, I mean fuck you. This room will be a minor storeroom. This is where they keep things that they feel they can use. Now, we just ran out of Zelda music, which makes me sad. Fuck. No, I don't want this one. I don't like the file select. So we'll make this a bit bigger, and you know what? I shouldn't make it all squares. I just don't like drawing shapes. Okay, so we'll fill in these rooms afterwards. Jubilife daytime. 1 second. I wanna... I forgot about this one. Hell yeah. Now we're in business. Now, problem with forks in the road is that players get pissed off with them. Some do. By some, I mean me. I get pissed off with forks in the road, okay? And this part is sort of like a natural vein they stumbled on. chuck silverware into the street. I respect that. I respect that. Oh no, it's over already. There are forks in the road. How did I not pick up on that? You already know who it is. Wait, I said that wrong. You know what it is. Oh yeah, baby. Okay. So, what I'm thinking is we're going to have green as our potential learning points. So we have one here. We have one here. We have one here. We have one here. And of course, we have the one here. And I think we should have one here. So, point number 1. They notice, hey, encounter with this bug. Bad things. It zaps. It breaks metal. It seems to have a makeshift iron carapace that is not natural to it. Up here, we see them building a bridge and taking shit off the wall to do so. Interesting. Then, they go to these rooms. They can either go to this little storage room, and you know what? That's probably food storage. That's food storage for processing, and then they have it taken down. But these little parts here are badly graded walls. Like, you can see through this. Interesting. So if you cut through this, you can circumvent a large part of the dungeon. Over here, I'm gonna say that they have these little tunnels sort of blocked off. Now, I'll say 2 of them have enemies, 1 of them will have something special. Now this one, there's a gate of some sort. These things are smart enough to make gates. It's crazy. I know. Okay, I don't like the ceiling spike. Hit me with Lineru. Oh yeah. So now they've come to the fork in the road. They can go up here, possibly learn that they can cut if they haven't yet. And now here is where I think actually 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And if they're on a lower, like, if they're low level, either these things will need to be relatively weak, or I'd better have a lot of potions to give them. And I tend to be pretty good about giving potions. Now, some of you may think, wow, this looks familiar. I have no idea what you're talking about. Ah? Do you see what I'm going for? And then, of course, we have to have a treasure room. That's not a penis. Oops. Is that too many enemies? Probably. Now let's look for potential loot areas. Loot is wonderful because it gives us a reason to do shit. You know what? We'll have one piece in that abyss. And a temptation piece. Oh, God. Okay. Is this the right one? No, fuck that one. Is this the right one? Nope. Is this the right one? Okay. So, we have our lovely little Peddles. Why are you blurry? Okay, well, I guess he's gonna randomly go blurry. That's fine. So we have our little Peddles. Yay! He's so happy. So Peddles goes in, and he's like, wow, there's a thingy here. I better kill it, because it's scary. So he kills it. And he's like, wow, that's dead. Nice. So he keeps going. He goes over here. And he's like, wow, I hear a noise up ahead. Whoa, they're making something. Also, there's a bit of treasure. Now, if these guys finish, I'm going to say one goes to the storeroom. The other one goes... And I'm going to say it goes towards this room. If you confront it while it's in this room, you get bum rushed. So, Peddles decides to be peaceful. And he's like, fuck, there's a cool sword down there, I think. I'd better pick that up. So he lassos it or whatever. Or he welds a couple sticks together. I don't know. He figures something out. And then he crosses. He goes, holy fuck, it's another one. He beats it up. And takes the money. He sees the other one having a snooze over here. He also sees something shiny over here. It's like, dang, that'd be pretty cool to have. So he cuts the thing's head off and he's like, you know what? Bzzt, bzzt. I got through. He's picking that up. He succeeds on his sneak check, and he's like, you know what? We'll come back to that fucker later. So he goes down. By this point, the thing's gotten into this room. So he goes over, and he notices, hey, these three passages seem to be kind of, intentionally blocked off. I wonder if I can break into them. So he breaks into the first one. It's like, oh, sweet, some treasure. Well, I guess I'd better break into the next one, see what I've got there. Oh, it's a fight. Breaks into the third one. Oh, it's a fight with an even tougher guy. Fuck. Comes over here. Dang it, they seem to have shut the way. Well, I could go all the way around. Or... Bzzzt. Walk in. Oh no, fight time. Now we get a bit of breathing room. So we can either have it like, hey, I'm low on hit points and stuff. I'm gonna come back. Or we can have him go like, you know what? I'm gonna see this through. So he goes down. And he's like, oh, fuck. There's a couple of them. That's how we'll establish its electric current. There's a bit of a spring in here. Some water. Ah? Some water. Water? Water? Okay, I guess there's no water. But there's water there. So Peddles is like, dang. That's pretty cool. Ah! So Peddles beats them up. And he takes their money. Or he's like, hey, I don't have the fucking time for this. I'm just gonna go. Up near the end, he sees two that are right on guard. So he prepares himself. He welds several sticks together. And welds a hammer on the end of it. Ew, no, not Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild had terrible music in my personal opinion. There were like 2 good tracks. I know I've offended someone by saying that, and I am sorry. 48 unavailable videos? What the fuck? No, go away. No, go away. No, go away. Go away! No! One second. We're gonna find one that's nicer. Come on, let me have one. Come on, give me one. Come on. Baby, come on. Please, I'm begging you. Just give me a little. Just give me a little something. There. Dungeon in Wind Waker. That'll work. So, Peddles fights them. But he makes a lot of noise. So this ugly fucker up here decides he can make some noise by rolling down a boulder. The first one, Peddles is like, oh shit, and he has to run his way back. And he has to really hope that he doesn't notify these guys of his presence. And he's like, okay, well, surely he can't have another. And then he hears the guy starting to move it. He's got about, 30 seconds to react. And because we're not going by regular plasma cutting standards, we're going through fantasy. He's like, you know what? If I can see this big ugly fucker, and those rocks slam into that, maybe I can cut into that. So he cuts into that a little. He can't get a lot, but he gets enough. So when that rock comes down, it blasts through there and hits this big guy. Also kind of crushes this one. And it's screaming, it's doing its crazy stuff. And that's when Peddles decides, hiya, jump into the fray. So he takes him on. And it's not very good because he's a single person and action economy wins wars. And when this guy up here kind of bum rushes him, things aren't looking too good. Worse still, the noise has kind of alerted these guys. They're not running towards us, but if we try to retreat, they will notice us, so the pressure will be on. Now, these guys are kind of home dwellers, so if we leave here, or I'd say if we cross the bridge, they won't care too much about us. So yeah, that thing, a big portion of its armor's gone, but it seems that, it'd be a lot easier to hit it if I could just kind of psht, 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 and boom, just got another big plate off of it. Cool. So now we can stab it there, and there, and there, until eventually it fucking dies. Hopefully. That, or maybe, while it's distracted here, Peddles might magically have a buddy who comes up here, beats up this guy, and pushes another rock to go down and around and slam into it again. And lastly, of course, probably going to use the stream as background noise while I sleep, but first I have a hypothetical for you. Anything, Nautilus. What is it? So at last the beast is taken care of. And we can see they've got a room blocked off. What's in that room? Shiny shit. Because no matter what you are, you like shiny shit. So Peddles decides, I'm going to cut into it. And then maybe this is where we impose the limit. If you could have anyone's voice, whose voice would you choose? My answer used to be Chris Evans. I don't know. Like, I really don't know. David Hayter's pretty solid. Keith David. Oh, that's pretty good too. Actually, that's really good. I'm not going to change my answer because my face would not work well with his. It barely works with my voice, but still. So after all this, after killing the queen, even if you haven't killed everything in here, it's pretty clear the infestation is mostly dealt with. Wanted to point out you have a great podcast-style voice. Thank you. I've been hearing that more and more lately, and I personally don't see it, although I am still very happy to hear it. Robin Williams. Oh. That's a very good point. I'm changing my answer. Yeah. But yeah, bottom line, we, our theme of welding is good. Maybe do a Q&A? Yeah, I should. I'd like to. I just don't know if I have enough people to do that. Then you'll see the podcast style voice. Fair enough. Like, most of the people that want to ask me questions have already asked me all the questions I need. here is where I would demonstrate, hey, these welding heads kind of run out. And they'd be like, oh shit, so this isn't like a permanent thing. Which would probably mean they would go and behead every single one of them and stuff them into their bags and try to sell them. But still, that's something I would prepare myself for. So yeah, what do you guys think? Do you like my dungeon? I know I didn't get too much into it, but it's partially because this is version and group dependent. Nice dungeon. Thank you. By the way, if I do end up running a campaign with other content creators, I don't care if they've seen this, I will be using this dungeon. Oh, man. Actually, not Peddles. Yeah. So, is anybody else streaming right now for a raid, or doesn't really look like it? Need a suggestion? I would love one. Excuse me. I like batteries. Batteries are so good. I like to eat my batteries and share them with my hood. I could share my batteries with people in the NHL. Maybe, just maybe, they'd let me take the puck and send it straight to hell. All right. Who's this?
Know what to do already. So, okay, this one can mark it because 20. I don't like the sense. So, I'm gonna put 0.2, I guess.
4,000. Jesus.
Mark it.
Well, y'all know the drill.
Oh. I think I don't want the sense anymore. Look at the sense. So annoying. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7.
I'm just waiting for this thing to actually let me see
Yeah.
Please
okay,
let me
my
see.
turn.
Thank you. Oh, they're in subs only.
Makes sense anyway.
Oh, wait. I can fix that. Oh. Well,
Okay, no more sense.
let's check the other one then. They must have had to deal with a hate raid or something. Wait, what? Refresh the page.
Okay. So, do I really need to
I don't
sell
really want
all
to
these
force my
welds?
viewers to subscribe
Okay, I know I have nothing to do, but it's
out of nowhere.
does it really work? Hello.
Come on.
This is like my last part already.
Let me see.
Give me a moment. Okay. Kill. Nice.
Please.
Timer? Timer?
Please.
There's no card here already.
Is it seriously not going to work for me? Hit enter on the URL. Oh. I mean, normally that one lets me, but it didn't. What's the other option?
This is why you guys need to learn how to write clearly.
The dead mom haircut?
Yeah, but I think James... I don't know, I'm not trusting James anymore either.
Are things just not working for me? Okay. As per usual, things are not working for me. Do they have anything specific? Two very wholesome sisters. Ah, yes, that's why they're playing Silent Hill 2. What is with this? I can't do the thingy. I just want to dance. I just want to dance. I'm sad now. Why? Oh, they're from the Philippines. Neat. Oh, there we go. Chat, is this racism? This is one of the reasons why I don't use Opera. Yeah. Okay. Y'all know the drill.
Let's see how powerful this is. How far do I have to be? Whoa.
One shot. Two shot.
Oh fuck, I missed.
Three shots, Rika.
What the fuck? No! Why? Seriously? It crashed? What? They're singing for me. I miss the singing.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I wish I could respond.
4 on a.
On the 5.
Are you the same lady? Oh my god.
Right, I said kill it with a melee attack just to make sure.
I can't.
Maybe it's in your numpad.
There.
Right, it's coming. Behind.
Behind me?
Okay,
No.
I was just scared.
They went back to life. Okay, we're gonna go back here. Jesus.
The monsters are coming back to life. That's not good.
Violence is the answer, kids.
A little bird trying to get the bunny.
Dad said you have to make sure to double tap down the opponents. It's a Silent Hill tradition.
Okay.
I thought you would just, Okay, that makes sense. If chat knows what's best, we follow chat. Earlier someone said that too, but I was like thinking, nah, that can't be real. It's a game, right? And
Thank you so much for the raid, regretfully.
Yeah,
Peddles.
Hey.
Thank you.
Curb stomp for the win. That's nice. They sing for anyone who rates them. I need to...
check that. Hi, hashtag check that.
Hello, regretfully mine. Welcome in.
Welcome in. Thank you for the raid.
Hello.
Thank you.
Thank you. Baba eat me. Thank you.
Check that.
Oh, that is so cool. That is so cool.
No. Oh, you missed.
I freaking missed twice.
Get good.
They're
I
heading
couldn't do any
to
better.
Live
Pipe versus pipe.
Careful! Mine!
Jesus! I can't show this. Anyways, they're cool. Want to do something super cool for anyone who rates me in the future? Knowing you, I can't wait to see what you come up with. Well, ladies, gentlemen, and otherwise, that brings us to the end of another one. You too, Nochi. You too. Oh, God. My voice is getting to this part. Well, I guess I will just talk like this until I get the motivation to press the screen. Oh, I can angle my microphone down. Yes. Or, as they say,